New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who is exploring a 2020 run, visited the early primary state of New Hampshire over the weekend. On Friday, she spoke to a group of young Democrats at a happy hour. Then on Saturday, she participated in a walking tour of Portsmouth, where she stopped by local businesses. According to local media, Gillibrand is one of at least 10 2020 hopefuls to visit the first-in-the-nation primary state this year. Also in New Hampshire was California Democrat Adam Schiff. The head of the House Intelligence Committee spoke at the Politics and Eggs event that has become a rite of passage for potential candidates. Despite that, Schiff insisted he is not running. Joining me now from Boston is WBZ political analyst Jon Keller and CBSN political contributor and conservative columnist Michael Graham. Michael was at Congressman Schiff's event Monday, covering it for NHJournal.com. Welcome to you both. And let's start with Senator Gillibrand. Jon, how was she received in the Granite State?
Well, New Hampshire loves female politicians. That's the first thing to understand. Both the U.S. senators are women. They were both former governors. Just a couple of years ago, both of the congressional seats were held by women. So just by virtue of being a woman, not to diminish the extent to which she's a prominent female politician, but just by being a woman, Gillibrand is in the mix. She has some baggage, though. First of all, she's from New York. And, you know, after winning all these championships again and again, I don't know why New Englanders still feel this way, but there's an attitude toward New Yorkers. Also, it'll be interesting to see how her role in removing Al Franken from the Senate plays among some of the activists here. There was some backlash against that, and back in her days as a congresswoman from New York State, she stepped on what might turn out to be the third rail in the Democratic primaries this year by adopting some positions on immigration that are not now considered politically correct, Elaine.
All right. And Jon, you're reminding me, my apologies. I was remiss in not congratulating you off the top on your championship Patriots.
Don't worry about it. We're fully capable of congratulating ourselves, but thank you.
I have no doubt about that, Jon. All right, Michael, let me turn to you. Senator Gillibrand first entered Congress as a more conservative Blue Dog Democrat. Since then, her political career has grown. She's moved more and more to the left. Is that transformation something that could play well with New Hampshire Democrats?
So the Democrats I talked to, first of all, I just want to point out that the Democrats really do in New Hampshire and Iowa and South Carolina, when you talk to these primary voters, really in both parties, they take their jobs seriously. They feel like they're doing like homework for the rest of America. Let us check these people out. So the number one thing I hear from Democrats in New Hampshire is, I look forward to meeting them all. I look forward to hearing them all. And so that's definitely been the first response about Senator Gillibrand. But I will say I'm running into more raised eyebrows from Democrats with her than probably any other of the well-known candidates because of that pro-NRA, pro-immigration enforcement, and some other conservative issues she took as an upstate New York congressperson. And when you have a field that may include 20 people and half of them are solid progressives, it's easy to make the case, why would you settle for somebody who maybe had a road to Damascus transformation or is late to the party when you have lifelong progressives like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren in the mix?
Well,
and, you know, Michael, if I may, Michael makes a great point. That traditional defensiveness and pride that New Hampshire voters have in their first-in-the-nation status, it's going to be even more acute this time around because that status is threatened as never before by the acceleration of states like California in the primary calendar.
Excellent.
So they'll be looking to make it count.
Yeah, an excellent point. Well, in 2016, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders won the New Hampshire Democratic primary with 60% of the vote. Jon, if he runs, do you expect a similar result next year?
I think he's the big outstanding question mark right now because if he gets in, he displaces a lot of water from the tub, to use, I'm sorry if that's somewhat of an unsavory allegory, but he's been checking in like clockwork once a month, holding an event in New Hampshire. I'm sure he's keeping his card file, to use an anachronistic expression, up to date. And listen, he didn't just win last time around. He swamped the boat big time. Bernie Sanders' message, I think, would still resonate this time around, even if maybe there's a little bit of less novelty about him this time.
What do you think about that, Michael?
I think that when you are the progressive candidate running against Hillary Clinton, that you can get 60% of the vote. When you're the progressive candidate in the field that includes Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, and on and on and on, it's a completely different picture. Also, it's interesting the number of really hardcore Bernie people I've talked to, particularly in the upstate of New Hampshire. They have a lot of kind of granola greenies, you know, the Ben and Jerry's crowd, and they like him. And they're not saying they won't support him, but it's definitely a case where some of the old band trying to get him back together, they're looking at other bands. They may take their guitar and walk over somewhere else.
All right, to be continued, Jon Keller and Michael Graham in Boston. My thanks to you both. Really appreciate it.
Sure.
My pleasure.